Hey, it's Lauren. So for today's look, I'm really excited to share this with you all because this is what I had on my face yesterday. I kind of like tested all of this out together and I just loved how my makeup came together. So I'm going to show you what I did. And my face is already prepped. Today I used the Maelove Glow Antioxidant Serum. I used Violette FR's Boum Milk. I have Roche Posay Anthelios AOX Sun Serum on, which is like hands down my absolute favorite sunscreen. Everything layers beautifully on top of it. So you can see I have a little bit of a glow and some sheen on my skin right now. And on my lips, just to prep them, I have on a little bit of CO Bigelow Rose Salve. So I'm going to start with the complexion. And for this today, I'm going to be using two shades from Gressa. The Minimalist, and I'm going to be using shade 3.5 and also 2.5. I'm sort of always between shades with this, but I really do love this particular formula. It always just plays well with my skin. It always looks like skin, and the coverage of this is really customizable. You can build up a really full kind of concealer-like coverage, or you can make it really sheer if you have like an additional oil mixed in with it. So I've got that on, and I'm just going to use the Gressa Minimalist brush to buff this all on. And I will be building it up because I'm trying to do kind of a sheer wash all over my face, and I'm going to build up where I need it. And a lot of times when I do add more, I will use the 2.5 as more of like a highlighting kind of concealer. But my face is a lot lighter than my body right now, so I almost have to have a slightly darker shade mixed with that 2.5. 2.5 is really good if it's like winter and I'm super pale. What I like so much about this particular formula though is that even if I like slightly overlap around my nose and mouth, like where I get my perioral dermatitis, it doesn't break me out. And a lot of liquid foundations I have kind of found at this point just seem to make me get new bumps. And I'm really not interested in having that happen again. It took a long time to like get everything to settle back down. So I really don't want to have another flare, and this just works well with my skin. So I'm just gonna go back and do a little additional spot concealing. And you'll notice I'm just using my fingers for this. You could definitely use a brush too, but you don't have to. This is one of those formulas that it really kind of has played well whether I use my fingers or a brush or a sponge. And it just looks like really nice skin. All right, now I'm gonna move into a little bit of the Minimalist Bronzer also. It's really important when you're using these formulas to shake them really, really well, especially if you haven't used them in a little while. Sometimes those pigments can kind of settle to the bottom just because they are not like a lot of traditional formulas that you see on the market. It's really just kind of pigment suspended in oil. So it's definitely important to give them a good shake, lots of TLC prior to using. So the bronzer comes in one shade, and it definitely has, it's a really rich kind of cocoa color, and it has like kind of a warm undertone, slightly reddish undertone. I always find that this blends out so beautifully on top of the Minimalist foundation, but it also just looks very natural and sun-kissed. And I'm going to run that down on the collarbones too. But I always like this one because it adds some good dimension to the face and just makes you look like you came back from vacation. Next, I'm going to use the Phytosurgence Skin Spark in the shade Singe. In the video that I did for Phytosurgence, I'll put that up here, I talked a lot about how much I love Smolder, and it's like such an amazing apricot color, but Singe is like such a pretty kind of fresh pink, and it has a slightly warm base, and that just works really well on my skin. Cooler tones, it's interesting. If I use like a cool tone blush, a lot of times it ends up looking warm anyway, just with how it mixes with my skin. And when I put on a warm toned blush, it really just kind of makes everything pop a little bit more on me. I love this formula. You only need like the teensiest little dot. I just love how fresh and juicy this color makes my cheeks look. So before I add a little bit of highlight, I'm going to powder my face with MAC. I'm the shade NC25. This is just the regular Studio Fix. And this is kind of a new addition to my collection. I used to wear this all the time, a long time ago. But I've been embracing more of like a glowy look. So I was like, I don't need Studio Fix. That's too heavy and matte. I don't want that, blah, blah, blah. And then it started getting hot, and I started just noticing like I was very dewy. And like my mineralized skin finish, beautiful as it is, does not control oil as well as Studio Fix. So I was just like, you know what? Because of how oily I get regardless, I'm going to go ahead and get the matte formula, because that's going to kind of control some of the excess shine. So I'll share a little bit of a life update with you all. I'm going to go in with the Violette Baume Shine. So a couple videos ago, I was talking about how my husband and I were trying to find housing in Colorado, and it's really hard when you're not able to see things in person. And so at one point we had found this neighborhood that was like nothing but a bunch of townhomes, and I was like, I'd never seen that before. And I said to my husband, I was like, it's just a neighborhood of townhomes. It's not like just regular houses. They're all townhomes. And he's like, what can I say? Townhomes are all the rage right now. Guess what, you guys? We found a townhome. We signed our lease and paid our deposit, and so we will be able to move in June. And it looks really cute. I think we're really going to enjoy living there. It's really close to a lot of like grocery stores and, you know, some cute little shops and stuff that are just around the corner. So I think that we'll really enjoy it. I guess we'll find out when we get there. It's always really hard when you're moving across states trying to figure out logistically, like, can I see the place before I go? What's it gonna be like? Is it gonna suck? Kind of just hope that it doesn't. But anyway, we found a place, so I just wanted to update you all because I'm really excited about it. It like is such a huge relief for me. I'm one of those people that like, if I don't know where I'm moving next and we're moving and it's like imminent, it kind of freaks me out a little bit and I get very stressed. So huge relief for me. Okay, so now I'm going to use the Violette FR Yeux Paint in the shade Tout, and I am going to do like a very soft wash of it, and then I will build it up some too because I want you to be able to see that. I know a lot of people have really struggled with this product because it is so highly pigmented. So I want you to notice how teensy that little teeny tiny dot is. And I'm just gonna kind of go in and just smudge it all around. When I put it on my finger like this, as opposed to putting it on my eyelid, I am able to get a lot better softness and control with that blend. And so I'm actually going to take this a little higher than I did yesterday because I think that it just plays better with my eye shape. But there is just a very soft wash of it. I think it's such a pretty color. It's very easy to wear. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other eye. Okay, and now I'm going to take the actual applicator. I'm going to wipe off a lot of the excess. And I'm just going to go real close to my lashes. And then I'm going to take a very stiff bristled synthetic brush and work that color closer to my lashes and just very lightly feather up above the crease. The secret to these is really, like, if you want a very sheer wash, just use a dot on your finger and buff it in that way. And then if you are trying to blend it on the eyelid, you really don't need much. And the biggest secret I have found is you have to work quick and you don't want to go too far from where you apply it. So you'll notice when I blend, I'm putting it where I want it, where I want the majority of that pigment. And then I take my brush and I stay very close to where I applied that product on my eyelid. And I don't stretch it really far because that's where you're going to run into some issues and become maybe frustrated with blending. It's an incredible product. I do think it takes a little bit of getting used to if it's new to you, because it doesn't behave like a lot of other liquid or cream shadows. But I think it's fantastic. It wears like nobody's business. It's pretty much waterproof. They don't say that on their website, but honestly, most of the time when I get out of the shower, it's like the only thing still left on my face. So what I did was I put a teeny tiny bit on the brush, and I'm just gonna work this under my lashes. I really like how this gives kind of a sultry daytime smoky effect. So yeah, that just kind of, it just shifts the way that it looks a little bit. Okay. Such a great kind of everyday shade, and I think that this is one that would wear really well on a lot of people because it doesn't skew overly coral like some of how the other mattes do. I love it. Absolutely love it. Matte formulas are tricky, and that one is really, really good. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the Sweed Lashes pencil in this shade Dusty Brown, and I'm going to line very closely to my lash line, and then I'm also going to do a little bit in my waterline. And next I'm going to fill my brows. I'm going to use the Gucci Brow Definer, and this is the shade 01. Even though my hair is like really, really dark now, for some reason their lightest pencil still works. I don't know. Like, I don't know. It's like very dark for their lightest shade. Don't worry, I'm gonna brush through it in a minute. I'm just gonna get the other side done too. There we have it. I absolutely just adore this formula. It's like powder brows without having to use a brush. It's so good. I still just think it's like wild how dark shade 01 is though. I'm gonna use a little bit of my Flower Fiber Fix Brow Gel. I believe this is a shade light brown. And just because I do like having a little bit of hold on my brows naturally tend to fall down. So this is always good to do for me, is just have a little bit of a brow gel. Sometimes I use Tinted, sometimes I use the clear Got To Be, which is like, that will hold till forever. Like, it doesn't come off. Okay, so now as you can see, I'm starting to get a little dewier, and that is totally normal, totally just happens. What I like to do is use a blotting paper, because then you don't necessarily need a ton of extra product sitting on there. And obviously, like, using these throughout the day is good too, but just to kind of control that oiliness that will start creeping up. And you know what? Now that I've got the eyes on, I do want to add a little more blush. I always kind of start cautiously, and then like I build when I feel like I need a little bit of extra color. And sometimes that happens. Like, I feel like once you get your eye look on and together, like, it'll kind of wash out the rest of your face almost. So I like to keep that blush on hand just to be able to pop on a little extra if you need it. See, I just feel like that tied it back all together. So I am going to do a little bit of extra powder, but not like all over my face. What I'm going to do is concentrate it right here, because that is where I tend to have issues with mascara smudging. And I just think, for me personally, I like to powder my brow extra because it just cuts down on how much mascaras move on me. And I am trying a new one, and it doesn't really seem to be a smudger, but just as a precaution, I want to set that down. So the last things we need are some lashes and lips. So the mascara that I am now trying out is the Dior, it's like Pump and Volume, and it's got like this little squeezy tube area. Basically, the thought behind that is to warm up the product in your fingers. It also pushes a little bit more onto the brush. This is a silicone wand, and it is predominantly a volumizing formula with some definition. It does give me a little length, but what I like so much about this when I put it on yesterday, it gives your lashes like this really kind of smoky quality. I don't know, I really like it. So far, so good. So you can see, it's not like a super lengthening formula. My lashes are already long. But I really like this one. I normally go for the lengthening kind of formulas, but there's something really nice about this one, and it doesn't seem to smudge on me. So, still giving it some time to form like a full opinion on it. It's not a new mascara, but I was at Sephora and it was the last day of the sale, and I just really wanted to try something new. And Dior mascaras actually have pretty much always worn really well on me and not been smudgy, but I don't always love how the formula looks on my lashes. Like the original Dior, I don't like. The brush is too big and it doesn't do anything for my lashes. They look very natural, and I'm like, if I wanted like a really natural looking lash, I would just get something from the drugstore. I don't want to spend $30 on it for them to look like I didn't put anything on them. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, if I'm gonna spend some money on mascaras, which I don't mind doing, I need it to look like there's something there. It's a good one. I do like it a lot. All right, so now we're gonna round out this look with some lips, and I'm going to use the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk. It's just the original. Actually, I'm gonna wipe off what's on my lips. I always try when I'm putting on a lip liner to make sure that there's not a lot of anything too emollient on my lips, because it prevents things from sliding around. I mean, I always want to hydrate my lips before I put things on them. That's just kind of how I prep and prime them. But when you have a lip pencil on, you want things to really stay crisp and defined usually. So that's why I wipe off. You'll notice with this pencil, it's really close to my lip shade, just a little more vibrant. I just love this. And the nice thing too is this pencil, even though it's very close to my lip shade, it does seem to stay in place like pretty much most of the day. So even after I've had lunch or something like that, like it's not like my lip liner is completely gone. All right, so I'm gonna finish this look with a product that I haven't repurchased in a while, but I'll be honest and say I've had like, I don't know, probably 4 of these now. I love them. The Sugar Fresh Rosé Lip Tint is a tinted lip treatment sunscreen SPF. And what I like so much about this is it's a really sheer rose color. So it's really kind of just to enhance your lips a little bit. It feels amazing. The smell reminds me of like a lemon icebox cake. It's like a little bit sweet and lemony. Look at that though. It just like a little zhuzh. Personally, I love how this feels. I love how it looks. And it's been one of those products that has been repurchase worthy many a time for me. And I actually have, right now I have just the other shade Icon, which is, I'm actually going to show you. So this is the shade Icon, and this is like such a bright, bright red. What I love this color for, it's great on its own. It's great with a lip liner, but what I think is really, really great for this particular color is if you are wearing a matte red lip, like a liquid lip or just a matte red lip, and after it starts to wear off, but you don't want to take all of it off just yet and reapply, you can use that, like just any type of, like any pieces that are crumbling off essentially, buff those off with your finger and apply a little bit of this, and it kind of just fills it all back in and makes your lips look really, really nice without having to fully take off that lip color. That's like my little like tip of the day, just throwing that out there. It's so, so helpful. And these are just, like I said, they're so comfortable to wear, and they just look nice, and they feel nice, and they smell nice, and they have sunscreen, and they're kind of like the everything product that I love for lips. So, oh, and the other thing, I'm kind of excited about this, so like I wanted to share it. Some of you may know, like when I first started like content creation and all this kind of stuff, I initially started with a blog, and I didn't really get into Instagram or video content or anything like that for a while. I kind of like started my blog, but I started doing Instagram because I wanted to promote my blog and my blog posts and things like that. And then eventually I had some brands that were like reaching out to me and wanting me to create video content. And at first I was not interested. I was terrified to do it. I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know how to edit. I didn't know how to do anything. And people were like asking me to make stuff for them. And so eventually, like I started doing video content, and then finally I started my YouTube channel, and it's a lot of fun. But when I rebranded myself and everything that I do, I took down my blog for a little while, and I hadn't posted anything on it in a really, really long time. And so the other day I was like, you know what? Like I really want to revamp my blog and actually use it again because I enjoy it. So I don't know that I'll be posting like as much as I used to, but like I definitely still want to post on my blog. And I'm also thinking for my blog, I'll post mostly beauty, fashion related stuff, but I also want to do a little bit about like minimalism in the home and that sort of thing. I know my beauty collection is not minimalist. It's kind of part of what I do. I try a lot of products. I do it so I can help you all figure out if you're going to want something or not. But for the rest of my home, I'm actually very minimalist. I don't have a ton of stuff. I really enjoy not having a lot of stuff, but I like focusing on having quality pieces that are going to last for a long time. So I do want to share some of that kind of content with you. So if you're interested in that, you'll be able to find that on my blog. Anyway, I hope that you've enjoyed this look. I love how it came together. I just feel very fresh, but it's kind of got this like sultry eye effect. And the nice thing is these Yeux paints, they wear all day. I don't have to worry about touching it up. If you enjoyed this, please make sure to like and subscribe. It helps other people find my channel and I can continue bringing you this kind of content. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.